I have a question. Have you seen an ergonomic split gaming mechanical keyboard from a mainstream gaming brand? I think the ROG Falcata is the first one to match that exact category. Yeah, granted, there are a bunch of split keyboards in all shapes and forms, and some even offer gaming features. But the ROG Falcata is definitely the first one from a mainstream PC gaming brand, and a testament to how bold and open ROG is when it comes to innovation, and quite frankly, to stand out. But what's exactly special about the ROG Falcata that sets itself apart from the rest? Well, aside from the fact that it's a 75% split mechanical gaming keyboard, it also has essentially all the modern gaming features every gamers are looking for. It features hot swappable ROG HFX V2 magnetic switches with a precise adjustable actuation point, rapid trigger, which seems to be the norm for modern gaming keyboards, as well as DKS, speed tap, and other features that provide a competitive advantage, some of which are even considered controversial. Aside from that, it also features tri-mode connectivity with up to 8000Hz polling rate, a decent design and build quality with fairly intuitive controls, no touch-sensitive features thankfully, all tactile, sounds pretty decent out of the box, and most importantly, doesn't need Armoury Crate software. More on that later. So yeah, as you can tell, it's a very compelling option, especially if you're also into ergonomics. With that said, let me share with you the rest of my thoughts. Let's get into it. As always, honest disclaimer, this video is not sponsored or paid. In fact, I just borrowed this from ROG, and honestly, after trying it out, I feel like I'm missing out on some of its gaming features that are not available on my ROG Azoth Extreme. So yeah, I hate to give this back to ROG after this video. Now let's start with the striking reason why the ROG Falcata stands out from the rest of the fast-growing gaming keyboard market space, and that is its ergonomic form factor. I gotta be honest, I never imagined ROG coming up with a split keyboard, but I'm all for it. I daily drove a split keyboard before with the Ultimate Hacking keyboard, and I can say it really taught me how to type properly with touch typing. Well, at least with 8 fingers, to be perfectly honest. And yes, using a split keyboard will definitely allow you to type at a certain angle that will reduce strain on your wrist. It takes a little time to get used to though, but it's definitely worth the investment. Because even after going back to a normal keyboard, I still reap the benefits of learning how to type properly. As for the ROG Falcata, it features a 75% split layout with detachable feet that you can configure up to 5 different ergonomic angles, including different heights of tenting tilt. The feet are also easy to attach and detach. And to make the experience even better, the ROG Falcata also comes with a detachable silicone wrist rest. The silicone material is also detachable, so maybe ROG can consider offering an alternative material like soft foam or gel. Now, both sides can be connected together with silicone cushions in between to prevent scratches, but they are not magnetic to not interfere with the magnetic switches. Another benefit of the split layout is the fact that you can use just the left side, especially for most FPS games, to have more room for your mouse on the right. And I appreciate ROG for doing this. They've made it so that the Windows key will automatically work as an FN key when using only the left side. This means you can still toggle most secondary functions like media playback, speed tap, and zone mode using just one hand. However, you cannot use the right side only because it needs to be connected to the left side for it to function. And I also cannot even think of a necessary use for that. Now, to make it less complicated, especially with the 8000Hz wireless polling rate feature, ROG decided to use a wired connection for both sides instead of making them fully wireless, and that's fine compared to having 2 separate wireless dongles for each side. Remember, you cannot use a single 8000Hz dongle for 2 devices simultaneously. Another thing worth mentioning is that to make the connection between both sides reliable, you have to use the included link cables. Well, at least they provided 2 in different lengths. Alright, that's quite a handful for the split keyboard feature. Let's move on and take a look around the keyboard first before we dive deeper into its technical features. Starting on the left side, we have a fairly intuitive control system here with a rapid trigger switch at the back, a small indicator display, a mode button, a multifunction roller that also doubles as a button, and an RGB light bar. Now, unlike the ROG Falcon Ace HFX, this is not touch sensitive. Every adjustment is made using the tactile roller, which I personally prefer. I don't like touch controls on anything that needs precise adjustments, so this is absolutely perfect. In front, as you can tell, it still features a floating keys design like most ROG keyboards, with a small ROG logo on the side. On the left side, we have a very appreciated cutout for the roller, and at the back, we have the USB-C port for connecting both sides and another for your host device. We also have the switch for the tri-mode connectivity and the rapid trigger switch. At the bottom, we have the familiar pattern, 4 mounting points for the detachable feet, and 3 mounting points for the detachable wrist rest. The left side is essentially the same except for the back, where we have the compartment for the USB dongle and the link USB-C port. Basically the same at the bottom as well. Now, the build quality is the same as what you would expect from an ROG keyboard. It's robust without any noticeable flex and feels relatively premium. The left side weighs roughly around 444 grams, while the right side is heavier at around 521 grams, so almost a kilogram. And with the wrist rest, the left side is 774 grams and the right side is 932 grams. So as you can imagine, it's quite heavy with the wrist rest, so it definitely won't budge during an intense gaming session. Moving on, let's tackle how the controls work. As I alluded to earlier, we have a rapid trigger switch at the back with a small indicator display. And by default, only WASD keys will have the rapid trigger effect, but you can enable it for other keys as well via the GearLink software. More on that later. Then we have a mode button that allows you to cycle through features like adjustable actuation point, custom mode, volume, media playback, keyboard lighting, and rapid trigger sensitivity. Now, I have to say this. Without looking at the user manual or online guide, you might get confused about the LED sidebar, especially for adjusting the actuation point and rapid trigger sensitivity. But once you get a grasp on how it works, it's pretty straightforward. Essentially, for the actuation point and rapid trigger sensitivity, the longer bars represent a single-digit value, while the shorter lines represent the decimal place. Now, while we're at it, let's talk about its notable gaming features. First, we have the rapid trigger, and at this point, most gamers already know this feature, but for those who are not yet familiar, this feature allows you to reactivate a key without having to fully reset the switch. So at any given point, the key can reset instantly as it moves upward, then reactivate again as you press down. You can adjust the actuation point from 0.1 to 3.5mm with precise adjustment of 0.01mm per step. You can also adjust the sensitivity from 0.01 to 2.5mm. And as far as I know, rapid trigger is allowed in most games, even in competitive ones. Now, I appreciate that you can adjust the settings on the fly using the controls, but you'll have more options via the GearLink software. Next, we have the speed tap feature, which is probably a more impactful feature for me when it comes to competitive gaming. What it does is that it basically prioritizes the latest input instantly, regardless of whether you're still pressing another key. For example, when disabled, when you press A and then press D, your character will stop, making it easier for the enemy to hit you, and your counter strafing will be less than ideal. But with the speed tap enabled, when you press A and then press D, your character will fluidly switch direction and vice versa. This makes counter strafing incredibly easier. I just need to change my habit of always crouching and practice counter strafing with this feature turned on. Do note though that speed tap or similar features are not allowed in some games, including Counter-Strike 2. Next, we have DKS or Dynamic Keystroke feature, and this is very controversial and more often than not considered a macro. What it does is it essentially allows you to set up to 4 different actions in just one keystroke, and these actions can be set throughout the entire travel distance. For our example, we have Cyberpunk here. Notice that when I press the W key slightly, my character starts to walk and automatically draws the primary weapon. And when I fully press the W key, it starts to run. And when I stop, it automatically reloads. I set all that via the GearLink software like so. So normal forward function all throughout the key press. And then number 1 will be activated upon key press, and upon button press, it will activate L shift for run. And upon key release, it will activate R for reload. This feature allows you to do multiple things in one key press without having to deal with macros, making things much easier. Unfortunately, it's not allowed on almost competitive games and is best used for single-player games like Cyberpunk. Next, we have a zone mode, which is a sort of quick toggle for enabling maximum performance. RGB lighting will be turned off, Hall sensor performance will be enhanced, and most gaming keys like WASD, control, space, and others that you will add via GearLink are automatically set to a constant 8000Hz polling rate. Next, we have the tri-mode connectivity featuring the SpeedNova 8K wireless technology, and apparently, it doesn't need the usual RG polling rate booster dongle anymore. The included USB Type-A dongle is already an 8K receiver, making connectivity more seamless. It has excellent battery life too, with up to 200 hours with the lighting off. Now, we have more gaming-centric features with the ROG Falcata, but those are the 5 most notable ones. As for the typical keyboard features, we now have version 2 of the ROG HFX magnetic switches, which I would say is impressively smooth and steady. It features a polycarbonate top housing with palm stem and bottom housing, and it's pre-lubricated out of the factory. Partner that with all the modern sound dampening material inside, such as silicone plate dampener, porn switch pad, porn PCB dampener, and silicone bottom case pad, and you'll get a fairly deep sounding keyboard without any noticeable hollow or pinging sounds. Now, while the switches are hot swappable, compatibility with third-party magnetic switches is, I believe, pretty much non-existent, at least for now. As for the keycaps, we have ROG PBT double shot keycaps with the familiar shorter stem, and thankfully, ROG has finally decided to use standard fonts for the legends. I cannot say the same though for the stabilizers. They are still sticking with the proprietary ROG stabilizer, which is a combination of the traditional cherry style and coaster style stabilizers. And while it's pre-lubed and sounds fairly decent out of the box, it's still pretty annoying to tinker with. And for context, here's a quick sound test for you guys. Here's probably the icing on the cake. We finally don't have to deal with the bloated armory crate or even the armory crate gear, as the ROG Falcata is compatible with the new GearLink web-based software that I keep mentioning. It's fluid, intuitive, and accessible even on Mac OS. Yeah, granted it's not as extensive as its competitors, but it has all the bare essentials to properly take advantage of all the features I've mentioned earlier, like the adjustable actuation point, which you can customize globally or per key, the rapid trigger, speed tap, DKS, and all the basic customizations are available here, like key assignment, multi-wheel customization, lighting, and power. We even have a customizable secondary layer using the FN key and the 3 available modes, including the zone mode that I've mentioned earlier. So yeah, you can open this faster than the armor crate, popping up a dialog box asking you to update. Lastly, the unboxing experience is always a treat when it comes to ROG products. Inside the box, the two sides are separated with their own soft cloth protection. We also have a bunch of paperwork, including some ROG stickers, and a couple of boxes that houses the accessories, like an alternative control key, the screws for the wrist rest, an ROG switch and keycap puller, an Allen wrench, a set of keyboard feet, a braided USB-C cable for the host device, 2 braided link cables in different sizes, a female USB-C to male USB-A adapter, and a female USB-C to USB-A adapter. Even the wrist rest has their own plastic protection to prevent direct contact with the keyboard. Overall, to conclude, I really appreciate what ROG has done here with the ROG Falcata, and honestly, I'm hard-pressed to find something that I substantially dislike, other than the things that I didn't like ever since, like the floating keys design, the finicky ROG stabilizers, and the armory crate that we no longer have to use, at least for this keyboard. Like I said, it basically has all the modern features any gamer is looking for. If anything, its competitors still probably have an edge when it comes to software and customizability, but the GearLink software is still completely capable. And there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Huge thanks to ROG for letting me borrow and experience the ROG Falcata. You can get this using the link below once it's available. Now, if you're looking for something different, maybe a nice low profile keyboard, make sure to watch my review of the Low Free Flow 2 by clicking this. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you appreciate this video, and see you next time. Have a great day, guys. You're awesome.